That's crazy. You can't say that. As Israel, you're the last person. As the head of the Israeli state, there is no one on the planet that is less equipped to say something like this. It is incredibly annoying to have to entertain this song and dance over and over again. Let's listen to the most insane interview with ABC News from Israeli Prime Minister, war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu. Remember, this is like basically talking, it's like we got 20 minutes with Adolf Hitler, okay? Let's take a look at what Adolf Hitler has to say.
ABC News.
As it has decided to move its troops into Russia in the middle of the winter. One final push, Adolf Hitler says. Surely this won't backfire.
Exclusive. Earlier today, ABC News chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl sat down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Prime Minister is talking about the battle with Iran and the effects it's causing around the world. Here's Jonathan's interview in full.
Now to an ABC News exclusive. I'm joined by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who comes to us from an undisclosed location in Israel. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for joining us. Let me start with the news that has just come in. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Iran has been urgently signaling that it wants to end hostilities and to resume talks over its nuclear program. According to the journal, they have been sending...
We don't know if he's actually in Greece. I think he probably is in... I think he's probably in Israel still. Like, I know the flight, like the Israeli Air Force One flew to Greece. But I don't know. He could be. I could see him hiding in Greece. I saw a video that he shot that was in Israel, but he could have shot that video before. I saw a video that he released that he shot in Israel outside, but once again, he could have shot that video beforehand, and maybe he's still hiding in Greece. I assume he is, but...
messages to Israel and the United States via Arab intermediaries. Have you received that message from the Iranians?
Well, not directly, but I'm not surprised. I mean, they want to continue to have these fake talks in which they lie, they cheat, they string the U.S. along, and, you know, we have very solid intel on that. But of course, they want to...
They're stringing the U.S. along. They're lying. Their talk is cheap. You are Benjamin Netanyahu, man. Who are you talking about? You struck Iran amidst a denuclearization agreement that was taking place, brother. You mean? And then you flexed and you said, haha, we showed you. Haha, we showed you we were actually faking. We had no interest in a denuclearization agreement at all. He did a photo op in Israel just yesterday in the damage of the missile attack. He's in Israel. That's what I saw too, yeah. But I don't know. Maybe he's just like flying back and forth. I can see that. It's not that big of a flight. You know your history. Stop continuously throwing around the Hitler comparison. Have some grace, BB. But man, dude, 20 months of a live streamed child Holocaust. And there are still in here who are like, please, excuse me, don't compare Benjamin Netanyahu to Adolf Hitler. He is, okay? That is an apt comparison. Shut the f up. You should question what leads you to feel this way, as though like, what leads you to feel this way? Like how many children does he have to murder with impunity for you to go, okay, at this point, you know, it's a valid comparison. It's an apt comparison.
Keep on building their nuclear weapons and building their mass ballistic missile arsenal, which they're firing at our people. They want to continue to create the two existential threats against...
Yeah, he's right. You shouldn't just compare him. The entire Israel state is Nazi state reborn. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Zionism is a fascist ideology, almost identical in its ethnic, religious superiority that it feels in its in-group and its exterminationist policies to Nazi sentiment, okay? It is fascism through and through. Israeli society reflects the Nazi society's exterminationist ambitions broadly. And Adolf Hitler is a decent comparison to the guy who has been helming this exterminationist policy in the Israeli society. Hitler is not a uniquely evil person. There were and will continue to be Hitlerian people in the world. His anti-Semitism was only the avenue through which he targeted his evil. Such evil targeted through any other avenue is equally evil. Exactly. They're like the only reason why people get so mad about this, the reason why people get so butt mad about this is because, well, Hitler exterminated Jews and this guy is Jewish. You're insane if you can't see that, like, it doesn't matter what the in-group, out-group dynamic is. What matters is the violence and the extermination that is taking place. Okay? I am not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm sorry that your sensitive feelings are hurt. It's so stupid. Imagine trying to make this distinction too, like right now.
Israel while they're talking. That's not going to happen. You know, we're not at the 11th hour. We're at the 12th hour, and we stopped. We acted to secure the life of the nation, and we're going to continue until we remove the two existential threats: the nuclear threat and the threat of 20,000 ballistic missiles that are equivalent to 2 nuclear bombs. So they want to stop and keep it, but we are committed to removing those threats.
So I think what I hear you saying quite clearly is there will be no end to the Israeli bombing of Iran until you have accomplished your objective here. You're not going to stop for peace talks.
Well, look, we had the...
Yeah, no shit. Wait, you're not going to stop for peace talks? Huh. I'm confused. Asking the guy who literally hard stopped the denuclearization agreement that was in play by directly striking Tehran.
Peace talks. We gave it a chance.
Yeah. It's so, I am the dumbest baby on the planet. Okay. As an American reporter, I, of course, am the dumbest person you've ever encountered. And I am consistently going, what? Over and over again, as you tell me, as you bludgeon me in the head with your overarching ambition of never-ending death and destruction. What? You mean to tell me you don't want to stop and do a ceasefire negotiation? I thought you wanted to release the hostages. I'm so confused. Do you not want to release the hostages? You've only killed the principal negotiator, refused to bargain with the Palestinian position, even though it was endlessly reasonable in order to end the ethnic cleansing campaign 1,000,000 times since October 7. But even though you've done that over and over again, I'm still confused. Now they're doing the exact same thing. It's like they always hit a reset button. What? You don't want to end the hostilities with Iran? I'm so confused. What's happening?
We've, clenched our teeth. We did everything we could to enable President Trump to negotiate the desired result, and that would have been preferable for us, and I think for everyone. But we saw in the course of the...
Yeah, the preferable result is handing pistols to everyone in high command in the in the Islamic Republic and having them kill themselves. And then bring in, I don't know, the Shah's son so that he can be the leader. That's the preferable position that they want.
The negotiations, while they were negotiating with the United States, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, tweeted almost every day, "Death to Israel." The talks were merely a facade. And we absolutely, if it could be achieved with the negotiations, fine. But it wasn't being achieved, so we had to act to safeguard our existence. You would do the same.
But over the weekend, we heard from President Trump on Truth Social say Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal. We will have peace soon between Israel and Iran. Many calls and meetings now taking place. So if President Trump asked you to stop the bombing campaign to resume these talks, would you do it?
Well, President Trump has been a great leader of the world, and a great leader and a great friend of Israel. And he put forward the terms very clearly in the negotiations. He said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And in order for it not to have a nuclear weapon, it cannot have the capacity to enrich uranium, which is the prerequisite for nuclear weapons. Iran refused. It just refuses all the time. It cheats, and it continues to try to weaponize the enriched uranium they already have. They have 9 atom bombs worth of enriched uranium. They're working secretly, as we shared with the United States. They're working secretly to rapidly weaponize this. In a few months, they would have nuclear bombs. That's what they want to do. They want to continue stringing the U.S. along, build up those weapons. They don't want a seat at the table. They want to blow up the table. Well, specifically, they want to blow up Israel and purchase time. And I think the U.S. Shares the intel. I know they share the intel because we share intel with each other. If it's fake talks, obviously not. If Iran will relinquish the means to destroy our country, then obviously it's preferable to anything else. But that hasn't happened so far, and frankly, I doubt it's going to happen now.
But he said...
Once again, I have to reiterate this, but if Iran had nukes already, or if Iran was this close to having nukes, which, how can you look at everything that has unfolded so far and not think that Iran should have had nukes? Like, yeah, if Iran had nukes, Israel would not be able to blow up Iran like it is doing currently. Okay? It is the very fact that it did not foolishly develop nukes after Israel kept saying Iran has nukes, Iran's about to get nukes for the past 40 years. That is the reason why Israel gets to do whatever the is doing in the region right now, including to Iran right now. Yeah. By the way, here it is. The Israeli censorship approves for publication that 3 Israelis were killed last night in a ballistic missile impact on the Bazan oil refining and petrochemicals company located in the Haifa Bay. Publication of the footage was also approved. The Bazan oil refining and petrochemicals company announced it has suspended activity in all of its facilities in the Haifa Bay after yesterday's Iranian ballistic missile strike severely damaged the central power plant. They hit it. They struck the out of it, and they boomed it. This comes after, remember, this comes only after Israel struck the oil depot in Tehran. Israel struck the oil depot in Tehran, lit it on fire. Iran retaliated and struck the Haifa oil refinery. And they hit it with the 5 Costco big booms.
Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal. How do you explain that disconnect? He seems very optimistic, in fact, seeming like he wants you to get back to the table and get back to the table now. You're saying there's no getting back to the table until the goals of the bombing campaign.
Yeah, by the way, Iran sought U.S. pressure on Israel for ceasefire via Gulf states. Sources say, I told you this, Iran will. Remember when Benjamin Netanyahu, I think yesterday, was like, oh, Iran will never stop. They just want to blow up Israel, blah, blah, blah. And I told you, like, that's a lie. That Iran would literally stop yesterday if America pressured Israel to stop. 100%. 100%. I-24 citing an American official, President Trump has given the green light to join the war against Iran. An American source tells Israeli I-24 channel that final preparations are underway for the United States to join the war between Iran and Israel. World War III incoming. The Iranian government denied that claim. I don't care. I do not care if the Iranian government is claiming that they did not actually request a ceasefire. I promise you, if there was an actual implementation of a ceasefire, a real ceasefire, which I don't even know if Iran could trust America's word on this, because they've literally used the pretense of negotiations to continue conducting military campaigns, as they did with the first strike on Tehran. But if there were real assurances of a cessation of hostilities, Iran would take it 100%. It is in their best interest to not go into a full tilt World War III style situation with America and Israel. They don't want that. They want to maintain their sovereignty. They don't want to have more of Tehran city blocks blown up, this time with American with an American shock and awe campaign. Do you think Kamala would have helped Israel by now? I don't know. Probably. We have no way of knowing. We have no way of fully knowing. But what I can tell you is this. If you think that Kamala Harris's policies here would be all that different from what the administration is doing so far, you have not been listening to every single high-level Democrat. Kamala Harris's NSC advisor, who was supposed to be her NSC, National Security Council advisor, literally came out and said, we would be defending Israel even harder. Thank God Biden defended Israel harder than Trump ever could. So no, I do not think that they would be any different than the Trump administration ultimately. But I do think maybe they could be more aggressively in defense of Israel and gone in to strike Iran earlier than even the Trump administration. Who knows? The I-24 report is probably bullshit. I don't know, but
pain are achieved.
Well, if the goals could be achieved through negotiations, fine. I said that to the president when I saw him in Washington. That didn't happen in the 2 months of negotiations that President Trump gave them. Right now,
Tim Kaine in the membrane disagrees. Tim Kaine has been also one of the few voices against endless militancy in Gaza. So it's not shocking. There are a couple voices. This is like pointing to Marjorie Taylor Greene, chat, or pointing to what's his face, Thomas Massey. Okay, there's like a couple politicians that actually stray away from the uniparty position. There are more of them in the Democratic Party, certainly, but these guys don't matter in the grand scheme of things because Tim Kaine on foreign policy issues was a lot better than the average Democrat. And he has consistently maintained that position even when Joe Biden was the president. And did they listen to him? No. So yeah, his word is basically like Pete Welsh. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there are voices within the Democratic Party, but very limited. Think about it this way. Bernie Sanders' perspective on this was Bernie Sanders put out a bill to stop sending weapons to Israel. This is a position that like 80% of Americans are in agreement with, okay? It is an 80-20 issue. He got like what, 17 senators to sign on? 17 senators. That was under the Biden administration. Do you believe Iran has successfully implemented deterrence, or are they suiciding by showing restraint still? I think Iran is restrained in its retaliatory attacks, and I think that ultimately it doesn't matter because America is. I foresee America joining the battle here.
they thought that they could get away with it. They found that our very decisive and very precise military action against their nuclear program, against their ballistic missile program, is effective. So now they want to stop it and continue on the side to continue to develop those two means of mass death.
Yeah. People talk about like the Democrats and how different they would be. This is from 8 hours ago. Let's see what Joe Scarborough had to say.
Now is as escalation continues, and again, as Iran seems, at least based on the reports we've heard, to be basically helpless from stopping these Israeli attacks. Even they're saying as much. Question is, why would Israel stop against an implacable foe who, since their creation in 1979, has made their existence about the destruction of Israel and the destruction of America about as much as anything else? It's hard to see a Netanyahu who the world couldn't bring to the peace table for Hamas or Hezbollah. Hard to imagine Netanyahu basically stopping the attacks now that Iran seems so helpless. What are you hearing?
So, Joe, first, I think
Democrats, by the way, this is the liberal outlets, by the way. Thank God the liberals are showing everyone with eyes to see, with ears to hear, that the liberals themselves are not in any way, shape, or form meaningfully opposing Trump's militancy.
your description is entirely accurate. Israel now has operational control of the skies, or certainly over Tehran, and it appears over much of Iran, in a way that it can just choose targets now. It decides that it's going to take out the Quds Force leadership, and it appears in an operation overnight they did just that. It's said that they could have targeted the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, but decided against it. So they get to choose targets now, but there isn't really a target that says here's how to end the war. I think Israel faces a problem a bit like what it faces in Gaza. You can have total dominance. I mean, Gaza is just almost undefended, and yet Israel's had trouble ending the war, getting somebody with whom it can make a deal that finally brings the conflict to an end, and who is prepared to surrender to Israeli power. You're not going to find an Iranian surrender mandate until you have regime change there. So I think inevitably, Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel has talked more and more over the last several days about a regime change option. Talking yesterday to Iranians who monitor the situation back home very closely, their view is that the Israelis are not really much closer to having a regime change.
How much weight do you give Khamenei's fatwa against nuclear weapons as a reason why Iran hasn't developed a nuke? I mean, nah. I don't think. I don't know. I'm not super. I'm not as like as tapped in with like how truly religious Iranian leadership is. Like if you were to ask me about Erdogan, I can talk all day about whether he is truly like a modest and honest, earnest believer in Islam, especially when it comes to his like governance. Okay, I don't know how firmly committed they are to things like that. How might a full-scale war impact the genocide as diaper army resources will need to be redirected? I mean, the diaper army resources are clearly still committed to doing ethnic cleansing. I can't listen to this stupid-ass Democrats any longer. All right, let's continue. Diaper army resources is still very firmly focused on the ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. More coherent anti-war message than anything the Dem Party can manage, including the Bernie wing. Oh yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh God, I hate this country so much. These are the moments where I'm like, we are such an embarrassing government. We have such a clown show. It's hard to show love to this goddamn state, dude. Hasanabi probably has Alevi heritage. That's definitely a Turkish person. Okay, no, I'm not. I'm Sunni. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, this guy, secret Alevi. Abi Alevi bu. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Everyone is finding out who the real for America First MAGA and who were fake and just said it because it was popular. Unfortunately, the list of fakes are becoming quite long and expose themselves quickly. Also, at the top of that list is Donald Trump, by the way. Anyone slobbering for the U.S. to become fully involved in the Israel-Iran war is not America First /MAGA. Wishing for murder of innocent people is disgusting. We are sick and tired of foreign wars, all of them. And this one will quickly engulf the Middle East, BRICS, NATO, as countries are required to take a side. Real America First /MAGA wants world peace for all people and doesn't want our military killed and forever injured physically and mentally. We love our U.S. military and love them helping secure our borders and our cities for the defense of our people and our country. You know what this reminds me of? This is like Itamar Ben-Gvir, America's Itamar Ben-Gvir, Marjorie Taylor Greene being like, do not deploy our military for foreign conquest. There are Mexicans here. We must redirect our military to the American West Bank, a territory with a lot of Mexicans, which would be the Palestinian equivalent here. And that is, of course, the state of California. That's the American Itamar Ben-Gvir, Marjorie Taylor Greene demanding redirecting all Israeli occupying force troops into the West Bank so they can do pogroms. The occupied Californian territory must be purged of the enemy combatants that is known as the Mexicans. Like, that's literally the reason why she's saying this. She's like, why won't we secure our borders with our military? Stop manifesting this. I'm not. She has said this before. They are our friends, spouses, cousins, nieces, nephews, sisters, brothers, sons, woke. We have spent trillions in the Middle East, and we have dealt with the aftermath of death, blown apart bodies, never-ending suicides, and disabling PTSD. All because they told us propaganda as to why we must sacrifice our own to defend some other country's borders and some other country's borders. She said that twice. She's not very smart. I don't want to see Israel bombed or Iran bombed or Gaza bombed. I don't want to see Ukraine bombed or Russia bombed. And we do not want to be involved or required to pay for any of it. We are $36 trillion in debt and have mountains of our own problems. We have giant planks sticking out of our own eyes while we complain about splinters in others' eyes. Every country involved and all over the world can be happy, successful, and rich if we all work together and seek peace and prosperity. And by that I mean we must bomb Mexico. Once we are done cleansing our borders of all Mexicans, we must bomb Mexico directly. After all, lots of Mexicans there. It's in the name. Taking this position is not anti-Semitic. It is rational, sane, and loving towards all people. Okay. Alternative reality bit. Are you ready? Marjorie Taylor Greene, after saying Jewish space lasers caused the California wildfires, is sent to the Holocaust Museum to write a book report. But in that process, she doesn't actually, she doesn't just like go through the motions and say like, I am sorry for saying Jews have space lasers that they've used on California. I have learned my lesson. Instead of just like going through the motions, she actually does get woke. Okay? She actually does get woke. She's like, I saw the shoes of children in a pile and I was overcome with emotion. The sheer cruelty of man doing such horrific acts of systematized violence against other men. It changed my perspective entirely. This is why I am guided by an anti-Zionist sentiment, and this is why I now want world peace. She got reverse John Fetterman at the Holocaust Museum. She was overcome with emotion. Trump this morning per The Atlantic. Well, considering that I'm the one that developed America First and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one that decides that. For those people who say they want peace, you can't have peace if Iran has a nuclear weapon. So for all of those wonderful people who don't want to do anything about Iran having a nuclear weapon, that's not peace. Yep. Taking this position of peace and prosperity is not isolationism. I guess this is the girlies are fighting. The girlies are fighting. Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out with this long statement about America First means we cannot give maximum support to Israel. And then Donald Trump's like, no, America First means we have to give maximum support to Israel. The girlies are fighting. I think one of the funniest things is, okay, if I'm being very real here, if I'm being sincere with my analysis, as opposed to joking about Marjorie Taylor Greene becoming woke, I think she's too stupid to understand. Gelmedi mi hala? Yok, gelmiş olması lazım. Bir dakika. Gelmiş mi? Yok, hala orada. 10 dakikaya gelir, 10 dakikaya. Okay. Hold on. I think one of the funniest possible outcomes here is not that Marjorie Taylor Greene is like woke or whatever, but she's too stupid to not realize that politicians only say America First as a fake term to bring people on board. But she was so dumb that she actually believed that these guys legitimately believe America First. Okay? That's what I think is happening here. When Donald Trump is like, shut up, bitch. America first means like we're gonna give maximum weapons and money to Israel. What the fuck are you talking about? Marjorie Taylor Greene is too dumb to like legitimately think that that means we have to redirect our resources to killing Mexicans inside of American borders or whatever. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is only being this way because Jews and Muslims are getting international press and she hates that. That could also be part of it. Yeah, I saw this. Matthew Kroenig says, supporting strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities is an America first position. My family and friends in Missouri don't want to live under the threat of an Iranian nuclear attack for the rest of our lives. Yeah, dude, Iran is going to nuke Missouri. Iran is going to nuke Branson, Missouri. Felix says, your family is about 2 trillion times more likely to die by your hands than by a hypothetical Iranian MIRV that some reason is targeted at Smegma Bay, Missouri. Can Iran even strike anywhere in the U.S.? No. What are you, crazy? Of course not. Iran does not have the strike capabilities of even going past like Eastern Europe. That's why it's so funny when like Israel's like, Iran was one step removed from bombing Lyon, France. We must stop Iran from doing terrorism and nuking France. It's like, no, dude, they don't have that capability at all. Iran can't even hit Western Europe. Yeah. They're so stupid. I thought that was a joke. No, Naftali Bennett posted that. That's a real thing he posted.
That are meant to wipe Israel off the map. And the Khamenei...
Yeah, Tzipi Tesler, or no, Tzipi, whatever the fuck her last name is, went on British television and said that Iran could hit London any moment.
And this is a battle, that we have to assure is won. If it could be won diplomatically, fine. Frankly, it didn't happen diplomatically, and we had to act because we're not going to put our neck on a nuclear, to a nuclear knife and let them destroy us. We're fighting this larger war against this oppressive regime that has oppressed the Iranian people for 46 years, that has spread mayhem, violence, and terror throughout the Middle East and well beyond. They try to assassinate President Trump.
If you do stuff like this, I will actually punish you for a week. Okay?
Twice. They tried to kill me twice. They actually had their proxies shoot
Don't do that.
a drone right into my bedroom window. They're targeting every one of our ministers, key ministers, for death. So they speak a good line, but they don't walk the walk. And again...
Iran's Revolutionary Guard says combined drone and missile attacks on Israel will continue until dawn. Iran launches the 9th wave of Operation True Promise 3, June 16th. IRGC spokesperson, moments ago, the 9th wave of Operation True Promise 3, a combined missile and drone operation began. I mean, this is like, they're saying this is coming. This operation will continues continuously until dawn. The attack is a combination and will use all components and do not allow the enemy a moment of peace. The operation is carried out with crushing and destructive power. Yes, we did. We looked at Iran's strike capabilities and their distance. The furthest distance that Iran has in terms of like striking capabilities is like a little bit past Greece, like maybe Eastern Europe at its edge case. So, oh, by the way, here is Israeli orders from the Israeli government and military censorship authority to the media. Subject, roaring line. Israeli military censorship guidelines for media coverage of attacks on the Israeli home front. Key reporting points. In light of the ongoing campaign against Iran and the current emergency situation, it is necessary to adopt strict measures regarding media reporting, especially in open channels and live broadcasts, on missile and drone attacks targeting the Israeli home front. Remember what I told you before, that they have like severe military censorship in the like there's a lot of military censorship. Israel does not have First Amendment protections, obviously, and they also have like some pretty restrictive rules in place. In addition to existing procedures and direct coordination, it is important to clarify censorship policy on this matter. The primary objective is to prevent the enemy from gaining advantage during wartime, which poses a tangible threat to national security. As I told you before, part of the reason is because they don't want Iran to cut propaganda. That's a big part of the reason. They don't want people to feel like they're having a lot of success penetrating the Iron Dome. They also don't want to show where the anti-missile defenses are. But there's already full blown military censorship on military positions anyway. That's why you rarely ever see any of the damage on like military bases or military targets. And the only thing that they will reveal is like residential buildings that have been blown up. According to BM, Israeli anti-Zionist, an Israeli policewoman tells demonstrators in Haifa that the text "Stop the War" is illegal. Yeah. Haifa police thugs claim that Stop the War t-shirts are illegal. Yesterday in Tel Aviv, they arrested protesters with a similar message. Under the auspices of war, Kahanism is rampant in the police. We are against the war in Iran, against the war of annihilation in Gaza, and against the war of ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. We will say it from every platform. We will write it on a sign and on our t-shirts. These are the anti-Zionist Israeli commies. Hadash. As far as like the military censorship goes, of course, Israeli police reportedly raided an apartment in Haifa where a foreign news crew was filming the skyline in anticipation of incoming Iranian missiles. There's a new, wait, what is this? Watch, Israeli police raid Palestinian journalists' offices in Haifa and confiscate their equipment, alleging that Arab channels illegally broadcast footage of yesterday's Iranian bombing. I believe they did that to I believe they did that to like I think Al Jazeera too. Like they did that to Trey Yingst, dude. Trey Yingst is Fox News's top foreign correspondent. And he went to the IDF headquarters the first night when it was bombed successfully, and they literally pushed him away. They were like, "Get the fuck out of here. You're not supposed to film this." Isn't Hadash just liberal Zionist masquerading? No. That's not true. They are they're marginal. They're minuscule in their political force, but no, they are actual straight up anti-Zionists. And that's part of the reason why they call them an Arab party anyway. No. They're one of the only real left-wing parties in Israel. Thanks, Mayor of Hampstead, Canada. Do not share any pics of damage sites in Israel. It helps Iran with BDA battle damage assessment. BDA helps Iran to make informed decisions about future action, says Mayor Jeremy Levi, Mayor, Town of Hampstead. I'm going to share all the videos in his replies, Lamau. This guy's insane. He reps a town of like 12 people. I'm glad that Canada has their very own Richie Torres. That's cool. That's cool. You gotta have a Richie Torres everywhere. There are Richie Torreses everywhere for those with eyes to see. It's Quebec. Anyway, going back to the military censorship. You can't show locations and impact sites. A distinction must be made between military and civilian targets. Filming damage at or near military locations is strictly prohibited. The use of drones or fixed cameras to capture wide-angle shots of impacted sites is forbidden. In civilian areas near security installations, broadcasting the exact address of the impacted site is not allowed. Part of the reason is because they don't want to show batteries like that are near the buildings. If you have a missile system that is in a residential neighborhood, they don't want that to be known, so that they can use the hollowed out building to be like, see, this wasn't a military target at all. This was simply a residential building that they struck. Now, but it's out in public. I know, but it doesn't matter. They're trying to massage the narrative to the best of their ability. That's the whole point. You have to understand, every nation does this in war. Ukraine does this. Russia does this. Iran does this. Every country implements strict censorship protocols whenever there is whenever there's any sort of like war or military campaign happening, in an effort to also do just this, like not inform the Western public that are watching from afar. Yeah, they don't want to show a strike is successful against a military target. It's just basic. Yeah, no, I understand. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but not every country uses human shields. It's just Israel. No, every country uses human shields. What are you talking about? America has a treaty called Nuclear Sponge States. What the fuck do you think that is? That is like the maximum human. Every country, technically, in that regard, every country has human shields. The only difference is Israel is much smaller. Yes, a calculated, acceptable loss of life is a decision that every nation state makes. And yes, if you're in the Dakotas, you're f***ed. Nuclear sponge states are six states where there's not a lot of people that are fine if they were to be nuked, potentially as nuclear first strike targets. That's where all the nuclear silos are. One of my favorite polls. What is this? Hadash are primarily an Arab party at this point, but they've historically represented an anti-Zionist or non-Zionist Marxist-aligned orientation. Their principal component was Maki, the Israeli Communist Party. Now they're the biggest Arab party. One of my favorite recent polls was that 50% of Israelis believe Fox News is biased in favor of Palestinians. That is incredible. Hebrew University's Jerusalem poll from a couple days ago says 64% of Israelis say there's no need for more reporting on Gaza suffering. This is before Israel did the, Operation Lion or whatever the f- that has been kind of exploding in their face for the past couple of days, quite literally and figuratively. 64% agree that there is no innocent people in Gaza. 69% say that CNN and BBC are biased in favor of Palestinians. 50% say Fox News is biased in favor of Palestinians. 50% of Israelis, according to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem poll, believe that Fox News is biased in favor of Palestinians. You are, I'm sorry, the most delusional society if half of your society is looking at Fox News's endless coverage, ceaseless coverage of demands for full tilt ethnic cleansing and go, that's not hard enough. Fox News reports on Israel like they're Channel 14. What do you mean? And these guys think like, no, they are like Haaretz. Terror. Fox News. They are also terrorists. I think the reason why there's even any number of people that say Fox News is biased in favor of Palestinians is because of Trey Yingst, for the record. Like, this literally is because of Trey Yingst. Because he said the most obvious thing of all time, which is Israel should stop killing my colleagues in Gaza. That's literally what he said. And I think Israeli society heard that and were like, are you kidding me? What are you, wearing the Al-Qassam flood banner on your head as you do your reporting? How dare you say, as a journalist, Israel should stop killing journalists in Gaza? Trey Yingst. Here's a photo of Fox News journalist Trey Yingst with Hamas fighters while he was doing his job reporting on Hamas. According to Israel's logic, if Trey was Palestinian, this would make him a valid target for assassination. I didn't know he had a photo like this, by the way. That goes kind of hard, not going to lie. This is killed Hasan Eslia. Oh, shit. Bro, Trey was farming aura so hard with this photo, it broke the stream. That's crazy. Haaretz, Israelis and foreigners flee to Cyprus by yacht. Hundreds of people want to leave Israel by sea in exchange for thousands of dollars. Oh my God. Check the fingers. Dog, this is a real photo. AI is not that good. Also, this is not even surprising. I think you guys forget that pre-October 7, like, pre-October 7, there were plenty of people directly interviewed Hamas militants and even members of the government. Like friends of the show, Hind Hassan straight up went and interviewed Yahya Sinwar when she was in Gaza. Like she saw him walking down the street and was like, "Can I please interview you?" And then an hour later, they were like, "Sure, let's do it." That's where that famous Yahya Sinwar interview comes from. That's the last time Yahya Sinwar actually gave a full-blown on-camera interview to a Western outlet. Oh yeah, Beitar's been freaking out about Trey Yingst. Every day they keep posting. Deport Trey Yingst from Israel. He's giving exact locations and information to the enemy. Beitar is so awesome. They're the funniest group of little terrorists I've ever seen. They really are. Sorry, but the photo is AI. What do you mean it's AI? That's the Israeli Star Destroyer. What? That's real, man. Beitar famously, Beitar is so insane that they famously developed a list of bad Jews, okay? Nothing to see here, by the way. Just a list of Jews that Beitar made that they wanted to, that they gave to the Israeli government so that Israel would not allow these bad Jews from ever entering the apartheid state for their crime of not being sufficiently pro-Israel. To be fair, the majority of these guys have no idea what Fox is saying about them. Is more of a statement on the complete bubble Israelis live in without knowing anything about the channel's actual coverage. They'll just assume it's anti-Israel. I mean, I've talked to American Zionists that unironically have told me, dead to rights to my face, that New York Times and BBC are some of the most biased outlets. And these guys read the New York Times and they read the BBC. And they legitimately think that the New York Times is so biased against Israel. Is one of the most common things I hear from, like, especially older Zionists in particular. And it's like one of the best, for me, it's one of the best indications that this person that I'm talking to is just hallucinating, okay? Because the New York Times and the BBC are two of the worst when it comes to foreign policies, especially when it comes to covering Israel. They have dropped the ball so spectacularly. Like, I understand why you would say that about, like, Reuters. If these guys actually knew Financial Times and their reporting, oh my God, they probably demand that Israel bomb the Financial Times headquarters, because Financial Times is actually doing real coverage, right? As opposed to a lot of these other outlets. Like Channel 4 does decent coverage in the Western press. But when someone tells me that the New York Times and BBC, two of the worst offenders when it comes to horrible coverage on Israel, like incredibly biased in favor of Israel, you think that they're biased against Israel, it's like, that's crazy. That's like, you're not a sincere person. You've lost your mind. But yeah, this, I think we are in agreement that this photo goes hard. All right, let's get back to BB.
We have to remove that threat, and I think it's a larger battle. It's a battle of civilization against barbarism. This regime is the cult of death. Don't make any mistakes about it. And sometimes, you know, the forces of civilization have to act before it's too late. We did, and we're going to remove those threats against our existence one way or the other. The Jewish people haven't traveled over time this great odyssey of 3,500 years with some of the worst tragedies meted out to any people during their existence. We're not going to have a second Holocaust. We'll do whatever is necessary to prevent that. And President Trump has been a terrific friend and a terrific leader, and I trust his judgment. And we have, together, we know what needs to be done in order to assure that those two twin threats to our very survival, to the survival and the peace of the world, are removed.
So are you going to target the Supreme Leader?
We're gonna let you have that information in a little while. They're starting already.
Mr. President, do you agree to the European push to apply more sanctions on Russia? Does the US support that?
Well, Europe is saying that, but they haven't done it yet. let's see them do it first.
You told me earlier that you could sanction Russia. Why wait? Why wait to sanction them?
Because I'm waiting to see whether or not a deal is signed.
And you guarantee the UK won't be
And don't forget, you know, sanctions cost us a lot of money. When I
Open
sanction
presents.
a country,
Thank you for the
costs
50
US
big
a lot
ones.
of money, a tremendous amount of money. It's not just let's sign a document. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Sanctions are not that easy. It's not just a one-way street.
Mr. President, on August.
Bro, Trump may stay out of this. You are out of your mind. They're redirecting additional resources to the region. And he keeps going back and forth on whether he will join the fight. They're going. Okay. I don't know how many. I don't know if there's reports on the Navy eating steak and lobster for dinner yet. I don't know if that's come out, but that's like a more reliable indication than the Pentagon pizza index. But it's over.
There are quite a few British voters who worry we side more with the Russians over the Ukraine war. Can you reassure British people that is not the
I
case?
just, you know what I say? I don't, saving lives. I only care about saving lives. We have nothing to do with it except that.
I think that I think Iran is going to block the Hormuz Strait as well, which is, of course, a tremendously important area where the overwhelming majority of oil tankers go through. And America is gearing up for a battle against them.
The money is not
there.
the thing in this case. It's 5,000 young people are being killed every week in Russia, Ukraine. And if I can stop that, I'll be very happy. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. So you could say, what am I doing? But I'd like to see if I could stop.
President, would you consider going
that
to...
Israel can fully eliminate the threat that Iran poses, this nuclear threat that they pose without the United States military help?
Who said that?
No, I'm asking if you believe they can without
Because
them.
it's relevant. Something's going to happen.
Mr. President, would you consider traveling to the Mideast as part of any talks if it would help broker a deal with Iran?
Yeah, but I think we're doing pretty well. We're talking.
You don't think you'll
We
need
have a
to?
thing called a telephone, so we're talking.
Mr. President, do you think you
It's
can...
always better to talk in person.
Mr. President,
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens.
We've had a discussion
do
about
you
that this morning.
think
There's
you
a
can
in the
de-escalate?
G7 absolute clarity in relation to the nuclear program. We do not want to see it.
Mr. President, millions of people are so anxious about...
What? The UK is very well protected. You know why?
Oh, no.
Because
Is
I
this
like
new?
them. That's why. That's
No,
their
this is from
ultimate
2 days
protection.
ago.
Thank you very much. The Prime Minister's done a great job. I want to just tell that to
I don't know if this is like from a different time or not, but it's over. Nope, it's done. If that's real, if that's recent, it's over. It's already happening. They served steak and lobster a couple days ago. Then yeah, what more fucking indication do you need that we're gearing up for war? Yeah, USS Nimitz is heading to the Middle East. Defense officials say this is the most homophobic thing we could do. By the way, sending yet another carrier in the Navy filled to the brim with our gayest of troops. This is homophobia through and through. I'm sick and tired of this, okay? I'm sick and tired of refusing to recognize in the month of June, nonetheless, Pride Month, and we're throwing our gayest troops in the line of fire for Israel. It is really
deal. What more has he said there?
Yeah, calling for Iran to sign a deal and do it now, so they should have signed it before, but not suggesting at this stage, it seems, that there should be a stop to the bombardment. Iran's position is clear. They would come back to the table if there was an end to the Israeli military action. And reading between the lines, and we have to do a fair bit of this here because some of the clear questions are not being answered, but it seems that the US position is that Iran should come back to the negotiating table while under fire. And you saw a relatively friendly display there between the UK Prime Minister and the US President. But I can tell you behind the scenes, it seems there are some differences
That
of
video is
what
old,
the
right?
G7
That's
should
not
do on
recent.
this. Whether the G7 should have a joint statement calling for de-escalation. That certainly is something that Prime Minister Starmer at the beginning of the day was saying was definitely the best way forward, and he was confident that could happen. Well, what we're hearing is that US officials, for now, and these talks continue, they go on all day Tuesday as well.
Oh, the parody account, the Iran parody account. Stop sending me that. That's not official. Okay, who knows what kind of videos that they're posting? Stop.
If there's no statement backed, that's the only thing.
That's all old shit. That's not new. What does lobster and steak mean? Lobster and steak means that you're about to go to war, or at least, like, you know, get deployed to a much more get deployed towards a military position that will put your life on the line. It's like there's like a morale boost that they offer, a morale boost that they offer before deployment, almost like a final meal.
He wanted regime change in Iran.
That doesn't even look like Tel Aviv.
He didn't answer it. The only thing he said was he wanted Iran not to have nuclear weapons. What did you make of that?
Yeah, and that's been his position for a long time now. That is his.
Those strikes were from the Negev Desert, one I was talking about, from Operation True Promise 2 last year.
For example, the recent attack on Iranian state TV. Is this just an attack aimed at Iran's nuclear infrastructure, or is it aimed at something else? And we've certainly been getting messages from some in Israel that they would like regime change, and you just have to look at social media.
This is the Minister of Defense in Pakistan tweeting at the Shah's
on the right
son.
of US politics. There are many in the sort of neoconservative wing of.
Wait, this is the Minister of Defense in Pakistan tweeting at the Shah's son. If Iranian people are energized and motivated according to you, show some balls and go back and lead them and remove the regime. Put your money where your arse is, bloody parasitical imperial whore. Is Iran also belling? Or are they just not allowed to have news because vibes? Wait, what? Channel 13 confirmed of IDF command under their hospital. The existence of a fortified military command center beneath Ichalov Hospital in Tel Aviv. Israel had previously fabricated similar claims to justify the destruction of Al-Shifa. Wait, what?
As the main headquarters for Hamas's terrorist activity. This IDF animation, posted in late October, claims to represent a Hamas tunnel system underneath the hospital. But having been inside Al-Shifa since early Wednesday, Israel's yet to produce evidence of the tunnels.
This is what they found.
Israel also released its own 7-minute video, which BBC Verify has analyzed.
I mean, I don't know if there's a military command center under a hospital, but yeah, of course, they have tunnels under their hospitals as well. Every hospital has tunnels, dude. The ones that's just a photo of that's just video footage of an underground hospital. The thing is, the hospital tunnels that they showed under Al-Shifa were built by Israel. That's why they knew there were underground facilities in Al-Shifa, because they had built the underground facility. Of course, hospitals have underground facilities and tunnels. Yeah, of course they do. It's normal. It just doesn't mean that you can use that as a reason to blow up the hospital, man. That is psychotic. Yeah, it's called a basement. Anyway, Bibi in this convo made a couple insane statements. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I just want to show you this part that was pretty damning. Prime Minister Netanyahu says if the U.S. helps Israel assassinate Iran's supreme leader, it will help end the conflict and make the Middle East great again.
U.S. officials tell us that the president flatly rejected a plan, an opportunity that the Israelis had to take out the supreme leader. Do you understand his concern? My understanding is his concern is that this would escalate the conflict beyond where it is already.
It's not going to escalate the conflict. It's going to end the conflict. We've had half a century of conflict spread by this regime that terrorizes everyone in the Middle East, has bombed the Aramco oil fields in Saudi Arabia, is spreading terrorism and subversion and sabotage everywhere. That's the forever war is what Iran wants. And they're bringing.
That's crazy. You can't say that. As Israel, you're the last person. As the head of the Israeli state, you are the last person to say this, okay? There is no one on the planet that is less equipped to say something like this. I've often said everything Israel claims is pure projection. They do tenfold what they claim others are doing. They will say, they want endless death and destruction and destabilization. They want that times a million. Okay, Israel wants that times a million. It is incredibly annoying to have to entertain this song and dance over and over again, but I do think that a lot of people don't believe it.
Bringing us to the brink of nuclear war. In fact, what Israel is doing is preventing this, bringing an end to this aggression. And we can only do so by standing up to the forces of evil. Look, democracies have had to learn this lesson. You know, they faced a tyrannical regime, a radical, fanatic regime. For 40 years, I've been saying, actually 3 years after the establishment of this radical Islamist Ayatollah regime in Tehran, I said that the greatest danger, not only to the survival of my country.
Who do you think genuinely believes this? Like, actually, I think due to the unprecedented death and destruction that Americans have seen and Western society has seen coming from Israel and Gaza specifically, there is a much smaller number of people who believe this now than ever before. But, you know, Americans are a incredibly stupid nation of people. Half of the country thinks that the guy who assassinated Democratic lawmakers was actually secretly woke in Antifa. So who knows? Like, Americans are uniquely stupid. Our literacy rate is 76% or something. So we are a tremendously dumb and incredibly violent nation, unfortunately.
But to the peace of the world is Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons. And they are on the brink of achieving that. So imagine what they're doing now without nuclear weapons. Chanting death to America without nuclear weapons. Imagine what will happen if they had nuclear weapons and the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, to deliver it to every place on Earth. We're preventing the...
Yeah, dude, Iran's going to nuke the planet. Like, Iran's not even going to nuke Israel, dude. Shut the f*** up.
The most terrific war imaginable, and we're bringing peace to the Middle East. And I believe that after our action, we're going to be able to bring the Middle East to new heights that nobody even imagined. You know, make the Middle East great again. Make it truly great.
Iran with current weapons never attacked Israel directly. Yeah, until this last Operation True Promise 1, 2, and 3. That was a new meta. After Israel struck Iran, Iranian soil. Yeah. We're going to make the Middle East great again. Worth remembering Netanyahu's 2002 testimony to Congress urging the U.S. to invade Iraq based on lies. Let's see if he's using the same narrative here.
A tyrant who is feverishly trying to acquire nuclear weapons. And today the United States must destroy the same regime because a nuclear-armed Saddam will place the security of our entire world at risk. It is simply not reflecting the reality to assume that Saddam isn't feverishly working to develop nuclear weapons. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Principles of real estate, the 3 L's, location, location, location. The 3 principles of winning the war on terror are the 3 W's, winning, winning, and winning. The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in
ISIS, enormous positive reverberations. I mean, it was positive for Israel.
Iraq will make the third victory that much easier, less than dismantling his regime will do. Because Saddam's nuclear program has fundamentally changed in those 2 decades. He no longer needs one large reactor to produce the deadly material necessary.
Like, I'm sorry, guys, if you believe a lick of if you think that there is anything that he's saying that's truthful, you're the dumbest guy on the planet. Okay? These have been lying, and the American government has been lying in the same exact ways in perpetuity. Okay? We have to go to war. There's nothing we can do. They got endless weapons. They will train those weapons on us. We have to kill them. We have to kill them dead. It'll be super positive. Yeah, super positive for the interest of the military-industrial complex, super positive for oil producers, super positive for Halliburton, super positive for capital, for sure.
Necessary for atomic bombs. He can produce it in centrifuges the size of washing machines that can be hidden throughout the country. And I want to remind you that Iraq is a very big country. It is not the size of Monte Carlo. It is a big country. And I believe that even free and unfettered inspections will not uncover these portable manufacturing sites of mass death.
Breaking, Haifa refinery shuts down after Iranian missile strike. Israel's Bazan refinery group has shut down all operations after a direct Iranian missile strike on its Haifa Bay facility yesterday, causing major infrastructure damage. The announcement came hours before Iran launched the 9th wave of its Operation True Promise 3. Bazan reported that key power plant supplying electricity and steam for the complex was significantly damaged, forcing a full shutdown of the refinery and all of its subsidiaries. 3 workers were killed after a stairwell collapsed in a shelter. Thick smoke and extreme heat left them with little chance of survival. All were residents of Haifa and the Kiryat. The shutdown was first revealed in a stock exchange disclosure required by law. Israeli security officials reportedly had not announced the attack publicly before then. We saw it, but we saw it due not because of the Israeli media reporting on it, but because people were literally filming it in and around the area, in spite of the Israeli military censor's best practice here. And on top of that, yeah, they revealed it in a stock exchange disclosure. So now we know Bazan produces refined fuel for transport, agriculture, industry, and domestic use, and handles hazardous substances, including benzene and known carcinogen. Repairs are expected to take 10 days. Environmental officials say the strike confirms longstanding fears. 2 of the 3 missiles and the whole system collapsed. We warned of this scenario years ago. Iran says the strike was retaliation for Israeli attacks on civilian areas in Tehran. The Haifa refinery supplies 65% of Israel's refining capacity, making it one of the country's most strategic energy sites. A leak of benzene is so good for the lungs. I mean, it does smell tasty. Trump responds to Tucker Carlson's criticism. He says no free clout. Wow. Donald Trump takes a jab at Tucker Carlson after he criticized Trump's support for Israel's attack on Iran. I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Oh my God. He said no free clout. You're cloutless. You're bitchless, Tucker. Oh my God.
6 years, right?
6 years.
And he's done what they haven't been able to do. So he's done really a very good job.
I hate this animal so much. Like, I can't, dude, I almost called him Keir Stalin. Keir Starmer is so pathetic. He is so servile. He is such a Weenie Hut Jr. little cuck sitting on the cuck chair being like, yes, England is also at the table. Imperial conquest is a fantastic opportunity for us to show all of our mighty weapons. I hate this so much. He is so pathetic. They are breaking missiles have been launched by Iran towards Israel, will arrive in a few minutes. Also, for the record, they literally did a hostile takeover of the Labor Party at the behest of Israel. That is a real thing. Using anti-Semitism as a cudgel to dismantle any kind of anti-Zionist sentiment that existed within the Labor Party at a time when the Labor Party was at its peak popularity. They rat the Labor Party from within. One of the major players that played a formative role in this was outed as a pedophile only a couple months ago, okay, Labor Friends of Israel guy who was literally investigated for pedophilia. Like that, they crafted an internal coup within the Labor Party, and Keir Starmer is one of the recipients and one of the most responsible members for it. So if you hate the modern Labor Party, remember, Israel played a role in this.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Thank you.
Yeah, he said no free clout. What is this, Brandonization? Trump drops what PM Starmer calls a very important document. POTUS jokes, it's a little windy out here. Calls it an EU trade agreement, but it's confirmed to be an agreement with the UK. What is this? Obviously, America carries the greatest moral stand for everything here, but there's something especially disgusting about the United Kingdom going so far as to provide targeting data for Israel solely they can claim they're still a major world power. Oh yeah, this is, he's talking about the Cyprus intelligence missions that the Royal Air Force engages in. Biden bought his first ticket to hell a long time ago, but he logged this last one because of his personal Zionist bloodlust and spite. For Trump, it was for Miriam's checkbook and his pre-existing neocon impulses, but for Starmer, it's just an attempt to look important. Hasan Reactions is one of the best ones in the React channel.